Our nuclear revenge. First of 3 stories. Try to flirt with my mom at my house. Okay, sure. So this happened when I was 3-5, about 9-10 years ago. So this takes place in Texas, at our old house. Backstory: my dad is the definition of military sergeant. Deep, carrying voice, muscular, but not Dwayne Johnson muscular, more like his white little brother. Anyway, the whole reason we were in Texas, originally from South Carolina, was because my dad was stationed at Fort Hood. Now my dad is a very honest man and works his brain functions kind of like 3 strikes, you're out. Anyway, my parents had parties semi-often from what I remember, and so, one night everyone's having a good time drinking, playing cards. I was asleep and was and still are a very heavy sleeper, and this guy, don't remember the name, kept checking with my mom while she was in her room sleeping. Now my dad caught him, told him to stop. First strike. Little bit later he does it again. Once again. My dad caught him and told him to back off. Strike 2. This motherfucker, no pun intended, was sitting next to her stroking her hair, so I was told. My dad catches him. Imagine the face of if you were sneaking out to grab a midnight snack and got caught by your dad carrying a belt. That's what that guy's face looked like according to my dad. He grabbed him by the collar of his shirt, threw him on the dining room floor, where everyone was, and literally beat him till he was knocked the fuck out. I have the images of this man's face burned into memory. Imagine a grape was the size of a melon and had a face with a broken jaw. That's him. Yeah, there was blood everywhere. My dad didn't just throw him on the floor and pummeled him, but slammed him against walls and shit. TLDR, you be a perv. You get beat till you're being fed out of a straw. Edit. Yeah, like I said, we are from and are in South Carolina right now, and scrolling through the comments about Yalavan shit is making me die of laughter. Thanks so much for the support. I know it sounds corny, but honestly thank you. And there was still a small stain from blood that we just couldn't get out. And we lived about 2 hours from Austin cause my mom was a nurse at a hospital there. Before we get to the second story, please hit the subscribe button to never miss another video. Tell others I hit my dog. See what's coming for you. Hi, got a story here. Me and my husband, 28F, 29M, are in a chicken breeding club, which provides an allotment garden-like structure. We joined a year ago and got to know Klaus, an old man who actually lives in one of those said gardens. At first, he was very kind, helped out 1 or 2 times. But after a while, he got very greedy, telling us to help him in his garden, selling stuff for him on eBay, or care for his chickens. Some people said we should keep our distance from him, but we didn't listen. He regularly invited us to drink a beer with him, acted like he knew all of town, is well known and has many connections. But the real thing was, yes, he was known, but for all the bad reasons. We talked to him a lot in the first few months, noticed he's highly addicted to alcohol, and tries to make a dime out of everyone and everything. You know the saying, blood is thicker than water? Not for him, lol. At first he helped us out, for example with giving us some tools for free or giving us money for working over at his place. Also, we kinda felt bad for him. Living your last days in a garden shed. But after a while, he gave us near to nothing for our work. No money, broken tools, so, garbage we had to dispose of, not even a thank you. He also started to talk to us in a very demanding tone. Old male Karen-like. Instead of messing with him, we started to simply distance us from him, not doing any more work. His last effort to win us back was to buy 20 weed plants and putting them in his garden and showing us. He knew we smoked. But as soon as he demanded we sell his future 5 kilos, we backed off again. As others noticed, we didn't hang out with him anymore. They started to tell us how Klaus truly is. He started to live there as soon as another club member, since dead, lost his home and lived on his farm over there. As for the rules of the club, it's not allowed. If he is allowed to, Klaus had to be too. Klaus lived there for 14 years, not because he got homeless or another stroke of bad luck in life, because he wanted to live as inexpensive as possible. We learned he had loads of debt. No wonder, considering how much he drank. We found out this is the case since he was old enough to drink. He tried to rip everyone off their money, since ever. his brother, his best friend, even his wife. Some say if she was still alive, he would sell his own mother. As the weeks went by, we learned more and more about him, that he had done this with nearly everyone who joined the club, not only with us. We saw it too, as a new member, who's also mentally disabled, cut his hedge for him for 16 hours, and got $20. And no thank you. Klaus started to dislike the way we stayed out of his way, so his response to that was to talk crap about us, even threatened us to tell others that we smoke, illegal over here. I mean real full-fledged lies. For example, we would owe him $200, we would do parties till late at night at the farm, we would hit our dogs. At that last point, we snapped. We bought a drone, made pictures of his weed plants and got police involved. Get them before they get you lol. Klaus peacefully sat in the club's community house, drinking beer, 9 o'clock in the morning, as 10 police officers walked in, going directly into his garden. Little Klaus turned his head around like an owl and immediately stood up and walked outside. He asked one cop, "Hi, can I help you?" And they asked for his name. "Oh, Mr. Klaus, we were actually looking for you," behind the officer talking to him. The other cops raided his farm, not only finding the plants, but discovered themselves he lives there. Living room with obviously used bed, food leftovers, a TV. They asked him where he has his address. He told them the address of his long deceased brother. They sent a car to this address, but found no clue he could be living there. BTW, he also got money from the state, social benefits, also meant to cover his rent. The rent on this farm is $30 a year. So huge no. Money fraud is one of the worst things you could do over here. The cops stayed at his farm for the next 4 hours, collecting evidence. The whole farm surroundings were patrolled by some cops, so word spread like a wildfire. Every single farm owner got over there to see what was happening, cheering that this douche finally got what was coming for him, after ripping off so many people. It was amazing. This dude had 14 years to make this farm his little hidey hole, making money out of it. He had split the whole community, gave us a bad name overall, and not even breeding chickens. He just had them to sell the eggs SMH. To his luck, he was clever enough to tell the cops it's only CBD, still illegal, but not as much, so they had to send it in to test it, buying him some time. The club held a meeting. That was a shit show. As soon as this topic started, he said we planted them there. He only gave us the little plot. Most laughed, some said nothing. We voted for his eviction, had to, as of the rules. He got 15 against him, just 3 voted for him to stay. So, our revenge is not over yet. Keep you updated. TL. Dr. Old parasitic money greedy dude got kicked out of his home and may be going to jail soon for growing marijuana. Before we get to the third story, press the like button if you're enjoying these stories. Marvin's Killdozer. Sometime in the early 2000s, there was a small town in Colorado. Among the residents in Granby, there was a muffler repair shop owner named Marvin Hemir. He was a sort of cool guy, I don't know how to describe him. He also got along with some people. One day, some company was gonna make a concrete plant right next to his shop. Marvin was against the idea, but he was alone. The construction of the plant would cut off the only entrance to the shop. Marvin tried to get people to sign a petition, but he couldn't get enough people to sign. Marvin decided he was going to make his own entrance to the shop and bought everything he needed to do so. The city denied his request to build a new road. Eventually, the concrete plant cut off Marvin's sewage and the city fined Marvin for it. This was the last straw. Marvin started constructing a tank out of the materials he got to build a new road to his shop. One of the items was a bulldozer. He recorded himself often and eventually finished the Killdozer. Despite its name, it never killed anyone. He designed it that when the armor was lifted onto the bulldozer, it's not coming off. Marvin got into the bulldozer and lifted the armor onto it. Marvin drove the Killdozer through his shop and into the concrete plant. He goes to the city and destroys buildings of those who wronged him, such as a newspaper place that lied about Marvin, the former mayor's house, and the town hall. He destroyed many more buildings. The governor of Colorado even considered destroying the Killdozer with Hellfire missiles. That idea was scrapped for obvious reasons. When Marvin was destroying a shop, the radiator was leaking and the bulldozer broke down. Marvin then shot himself. TL. Dr. Guy gets his life ruined, destroys multiple buildings. Thanks for watching to the end. Press the notification bell along with the subscribe button to be notified of all future uploads. Bye.